Good evening, students. In today's session, we'll discuss relates to the methods of provisioning of different services, and we'll discuss. We'll focus on benefits of shared responsibility model. There's the beauty and there's the advantage of cloud computing and cloud technology. So, we'll cover in this section the benefits of the shared responsibility model. So before going to discuss this, we'll recollect once what we are discussing in the previous sessions. Previous sessions, we had discussed the cloud font. We already discussed the cloud front is widely denoting as a network provided by Amazon Web Services that safely and quickly distributes the content to different clients, such the services, such a software and different type of SDKs and different type of videos. How these searchings can be possible to the clients. The few different services, infrastructure related services. How the infrastructure related service can be possible to serve to the clients. That means that whoever is the service consumers. So that's this particular we'll say it as cloud front. The logo is also, we had a discussion and different type of logo for that. And the benefits we had of a cloud font, cloud front will say, or cloud font will say, are here the R will be going to be silent. Here, what we had discussed is the edge locations might have caches. So whatever we are, our content will be sharing to the cache memory, the cached in edge locations, which will reduce the burden on increasing application availability. It is easy to use and we'll say it as guarantees of increase into productivity. And we had discussed one more advantage is a few of the services is specifically targeting services to the content distribution to a particular end user, and such will offers high security with the content privacy functions by few of the utilities such as HTTP and HTTPS protocols for a rapid content delivery purpose, and because the data transport protocol will use this HTTP and HTTPS protocol for content delivery purpose. So while less expensive, if we can share the files from one location to another location, while that is files in the sense of which relates to softwares or which relates to the applications and which relates to the video shares, etc. Whatever the content it is. So less expensive if we can share by using CloudFront is the most benefitable for sharing of such specifications. We had discussed of such. While sharing the DNS router will use as fetches the client request to the nearest edge location through the CloudFront and serves the user based on that request from the edge location. That assess faster assessments, quick case assessments, what we'll say it as. And the edge location, um, the CloudFront looks from the edge location and whatever the requested cache file contains. Once the file is found, then the CloudFront sends the file to the users. That means whoever, okay, the consumers. And the cache file is nothing but what we'll say it as a cloud font. And but if the file doesn't found, that the case in the cloud font compare the requirement with the specifications and shares what it shares with the respective server, and then it fetches and the respective server and it shares to the client. That means that web server. Then obviously the web server here the web server responds to the request by sending the file back to the CloudFront edge location. All these the transmissions will work by using edge locations. And here what we are doing simply the sharing of files, right? While as soon as uh, faster communication. The cloud font receives the file, it shares with the client or with the customer and adds to the file into the nearby edge location. Then, then what happens? The edge location will receives the file from the cloud font and it stores in the edge location while retrieving and the next terminal, next call onwards, next any call onwards. Then the edge location is ready to serve from edge location. Then obviously the time complexity might be decreases while while fetching from the nearby region center. How to create this network we had discussed in the previous session. Right. While entering into the console of AWS and Amazon website, and Cloud Font is a service we had opened, and then we had discussed there the settings relates to the Cloud Font settings. What we'll also say them as wizards. Right. Those wizards we have different type of settings. So we have come up with those. And while creating of such, then what we had observed is for distributing of these files in the with relates to software, with relates to videos, with relates to different type of applications, while distribute via HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol, right? So and one more topic we had discussed. such the global infrastructure and edge locations in detail. So we have you, I think so you have very clear on edge location. But edge location is nothing but while data transmitting from AWS data centers, we'll say them as edge locations. We say the edge locations are built to provide services with the least amount of latency as possible. Means that minimum time consuming, that means that minimizing the time complexity for data transmission. These data centers are located around the world and they're owned by Amazon. If whoever the service provider, they are owned by them. For example, now whatever we are discussing relates to AWS, so these all are owned by Amazon. Generally, what we'll say, they are frequently located in range of large cities and nearby regions. That we'll say it as nearby large cities and closer to the users which are nearest by regions. We'll say it, or else we'll say it as availability zones, allowing for quick replies. Edge location will use for allowing quick replies. And one more here, the cloud font, which uses these edge locations to create cache copies of the say of the content whichever servers are sharing, so that the content is closer to the users. Obviously, the users can feel the faster. That means that the users and can be delivered by the edge location with using of cloud font while very faster. So this is the one of the best example of subnet of different servers, which latency is actually matters. And here we had discussed the routing algorithms also plays a key role. So, and here the domain name services also takes responsible while placing into the edge locations. Here the edge locations are playing key role while serving the data from server to web servers. And here the firewalls also plays a key role. We had discussed such while using some sort of filters, by creating a firewalls to reduce the traffic at which location? At edge location. While quickly and different routing possibility steps, unwanted assessments, if any, then we can have scope to control the unwanted activities. This firewalls plays a key role. So web applications might consisting of different firewalls. So firewalls plays a key role while transmitting of fraud. And a few of the benefits we had discussed. So such benefits are generally focus on edge locations, focus on minimizing the latency and using of cloud font caches. The content will store on edge locations and allowing immediate serving from cache content. So these edge locations has lower latency since physically closer to the user than comparatively with origin servers. So and one more is while the traffic is routed by the edge locations by service, and will have scope of high bandwidth usage And as well as if the bandwidth is low bandwidth also, we can have scope to serve to the client in low bandwidth ranges also, because the edge location consists of the data. Then the origin server might not need to fetch from the origin server. In this edge location, and the cloud font catches will taking care of the user services or user request. So as specifically we focus in long distances. If the long distances and the traffic delivered is uh, much more higher in the network, and these type of notations, these edge locations are quite useful. And a few of the use cases we had discussed. The most frequently mentioned applications of edge locations are cloud font. One of the best example by using these edge locations. While using the content delivery network that stores the caches of content and stores it into the edges. So users can access the content more quickly by having the provided directly from the cache, while serving static materials, spending of websites and streaming videos are all common uses for the cloud font. So we had discussed different type of edge locations available in all over the on the map we had discussed. So near around 225 locations at the time of uh, as per Wikipedia scenarios. So now we'll go with the benefits of shared responsibility models. So because why what do we mean by shared responsibility model? Uh, we have a minimum idea about this because while using the infrastructure, that means that by using the storages. So as the user, that means that as the service provider is not only the responsibility, while while the consumers, that means that the owner of that web service is also taking care of the security responsibility. So that the sense we are saying this as a shared responsibility. That means that service provider and the service consumer both ends have to be taking responsibility for on with respect to the data. Right. So here we focus on if we are we have our own company, then we want to launch our company into the internet, then we'll approach on cloud service providers while creating our own DNS, domain name service, and we'll approach whatever the services we are providing, the services can be available on cloud. So based on that availability, then the consumers of my service, they can approach me while consuming of the services. So here, the scenario here, the service provider point, the cloud service provider point, we are the consumer. That means that the owner of that particular domain name service is a consumer. So we are now, what are the terminology we are using? These two ends. That means the service provider is nothing but Amazon, and service consumer is nothing but uh, we. That means that the company owner, whoever is placing the service. So here both ends have the similar responsibility of data. Why? Why so? Because whatever the credentials providing and whatever the service providing by the some service provider, that means that storage space is providing by the service provider. And whatever the content is residing on that particular storage is is also need to be maintained secure. So based on that security assessments only, the customers can have scope to use our services. So both have to take responsibility, which relates to the infrastructure point. So that's what here we'll say it as shared responsibility. So in the shared responsibility, what are the exact benefits? If we are only we have our own server, if we maintain the entire details of our customer in our own server, so in this particular scenario, we are responsible for the entire data. So that means that in our premises, if we can have our own server, then we are only the responsibility while anything happens from different sources. That might be hackers, that might be climate change conditions, that might be infrastructure failures, that might be the climate will failures, or whatever the technical reasons or whatever it is. So we are only the responsible for the entire data, the customer's data. So, but this particular scenario, while we are placing our entire data on the cloud service, on the cloud, that means that we are taking a rent of the storage device and we are placing our entire data into the rented house, the rented space. So the rented space have to be maintained by the owner of the service provider, and as well as if we are using the particular rented space means we are also having the equal responsibility of data. So here both ends have to maintain the data. So that particular point we are discussing in today's session. So here, what techniques for delivering of services they adopt? The AWS while providing services, infrastructure services. What techniques for delivering services they opt? Here we focus on such. With the help of Amazon Web Services, our company or your company may increase business agility, right? Different type of agility while still upholding the necessary governance controls. And by using Amazon Web Services, your company may increase the business. So that's what we are launching our services available on internet. We are taking the help of Amazon Web Services to increase our business. So while still upholding the necessary governance controls, I mean that we are the authenticated users. That means that our admins can have can known for the access controls. So we have our own access controls, and as well as the physical infrastructure might control on Amazon Web Service providers. So these resources may be regularly and routinely provided using AWS, while effective provisioning and uh, so few of the tools they use for uh, orchestration and provisioning, effective provisioning tools. So how to maintain whatever the rented space or rented storage or rented infrastructure they have maintained. So how to maintain that particular space that they have Amazon, for example, Terraflow. Terraflow is one particular tool to use for infrastructural assessments, right? By Amazon. So so Terraflow is nothing but which effective provisioning of the entire environment. What are the physical service they are providing that can be controlled by some of the tools. For example, Terraflow. Right. And then it makes it possible
to grow your business sustainability. So that is also plays a key role. That means that our business should be sustainable. So that only we can have scope to serve better to the desired clients. So how to use the service provider by AWS? How do you use the services provided by the AWS? So if you are the owner or you are the owner of your company, if you want to launch your company on availability of internet, so what we'll do is we'll take with the help of Amazon Web Services or else whatever the whoever the service providers. So that means that availability of our entire services on internet. So how do you use services provided by AWS? Because AWS have different type of services. So have extent and what type of services we can need to incorporate with our business. That is also focuses. So we have to understand what type of services Amazon is providing and what type of services are needed for our business. So we have to focus on this area too. As result, uh, you may use these APIs to provision, configure, and manage of your entire resources. What are the resources provided by AWS while configuring and managing of the resources, the infrastructure resources used by using the tools. What are the tool we have discussed? That is Terraflow. Example Terraflow. You can go through for this on Google for Terraflow and brief about you have to be see one simple video for on Terraflow. Then you'll get a brief idea about how they configure and how to manage uh, while taking a rental space or rental infrastructure. And here we'll know for an EC2 service, EC2 instance launch, or EC2 service, right? Uses for deployment of AWS Lambda function or the best examples by placing our services into the availability. That might be whether whether we'll go with EC2 or whether we'll go with the Lambda function. That is depend on our business principles. Request whatever is needed for our process. The both are separate APIs with respect to the Amazon service providers. These are two different services. While which one is suitable for our company, we have to we have to confirm that. And the AWS management console in the sense of uh, console in the sense of the API communicating. So here the AWS is managed, created one console, quite easy to access what are the services they are providing. So we can have easy communication of all those services. So AWS Management Console is a great tool for educating and giving people the right perspective. So we can easily understood by seeing of the console. So which type of service of our company is expecting or our company is needed, easily understood by seeing the particular management console itself. But most keep it in mind is the manual tools. You can go through the manual tools and then the brief about that particular tools, and then we opt accordingly. What are the console is using the console will use the services. And we have a command line interface also available on Amazon website. That will say it as CLI services, command line interface tools. This is also possible while interacting with the web services. But this this we have a clear view on all the services, and based on that that view, we can have scope to call that particular console, that particular service by using command line interfaces. So comparatively, that command line interfaces calling is quite experienced persons will do shop search, and experience is needed. And in software development kits for AWS, SDKs, we'll say it as simply software development kits for AWS. So a few of the programs that contained with Amazon Web Services are creating using Amazon software development kits for creating their own applications. So few of the application programming environment tools also available. So you can consume the particular tools for creating your own application service. So that we'll say it as software development kits, SDKs. And Elastic Beanstalk from AWS, this particular service is based on giving application specifications of file. That means that specifications in sense of what exactly the functionality is required. The specifications consist of it, how to create and what exactly the output is expecting output. The specifications in terms of how to create and how to be your application should be. Right, and simply we'll say it as Amazon Web Services, AWS Elastic Beanstalk. These will say it as platform as service. Right, because these all are dependent on platforms, different type of platforms. So platform as service under platform of service is offering can automatically supplies the necessary resources and services. So by using Elastic Beanstalk from the AWS service, we create our own applications by using the platform as service. And few of the services when we have cloud formation by using AWS. So the suggested contemporary method or method for uh, declarative deploying AWS resources is using less utility AWS cloud formation utility. That means that cloud formation, that means that we have to create our own cloud, and that particular cloud consisting of whatever the infrastructure is required for us, and whatever the process time is required for us, and whatever the platform services we are going to consume. All these will create our own utility, and then we'll deploy whatever the requirement of us into the particular utility, and will serve accordingly. And the development kits, so that will say it as AWS Cloud Development Kits, CDK, will say simply. So with the help of value performing languages, that means that we have different type of languages we have. So by in the sense of Java, Python, etc. So the AWS Cloud Development Kit, AWS is an open source software deployment framework that enables the definition of cloud application resources. So you can create your own framework while calling with the cloud information. So, right. So it is enabling for creating of your own framework by using open source softwares. So few of the language softwares are also available. So we can use to create such softwares, and that means that few of the softwares that mean that they are providing freely few of the services. So while this, if we can and we can go for an MOU with the AWS services, all these features might come with the free. So we can create our own framework by communicating with the AWS infrastructure communication, and we'll create our own resource pool for communicating of such resource pool, we'll create our own front-end application. Right, and we'll say it as a framework. And based on this framework, we can communicate what are the rented resources we have taken. So that it is quite easy to communicate and easy to create everything. So these are the benefits. These are the benefits while creating of shared responsibility models. So, so you can go through the benefits of shared responsibility model in detail, and then if any this particular sense, we can't have scope to go with the practical because these are needed for the proprietary editions. So we can't use these sort of specifications in free services. So you can go in theoretical way while getting of knowledge. You can go with the videos of shared responsibility, benefits of shared responsibility topic, and then we will get a clear view. But if you become an cloud architect, then this is your responsibility to create such shared responsibility models and shared responsibility scenarios. So that the sense you can go through in detail, and you'll need a brief view on this particular topics for while using these tools. So anyone have any queries? Then we'll discuss. Well, one more 5 minutes I'll wait, and then I'll close the session later. So if anyone have any queries, then you can come up. And LMS, I have given CO2 as an ALM. So you can your free time you can go through for your LMS and complete the task. CO2 LMS, I have CO2 related assignment I have given on LMS. But it have one more weekdays. And these within these weekdays, I'll give you the CO3 and CO4 ALMs also. I'll place on that. So CO1 and CO2 both are available. CO1 time has been extended. So if any sort of problem, then I'll extend the time for CO1 point, and CO2 is already have one more week in. So 3 and 4, CO3 and CO4, I'll conclude by this week. So I'll place on LMS for CO3 and CO4 also before this Thursday or Friday. I'll conclude these two also. And the laboratory point, I have shared some PDF file. So go through the PDF file and create a lab record. So the lab record submission is mandatory. But till time no one has been submitted, I have shared a link. So that the shared link consisting of you have to upload the PDF file on the shared link. So go through for that. And I need the PDF. Everyone should upload the PDF file. The format and everything I have already shared. So go through your Telegram group.
So I have already shared a few days, last Wednesday, I think so. I have shared last Wednesday. So go through for that and complete accordingly. Labs record and as well as skilling record. Both are required. Physical records while your end examinations, you can come up with the spiral binded physical record. Before submission of physical records, you can go with the soft copy of the PDF file. So that particular link, whatever the link I have shared, please upload that particular PDF file using that link. So anyone have any queries in this particular topic? We'll discuss. Otherwise, I'm going to conclude this session now.